What's up, guys? It's Blaze Critical here. So today we will have a look at the downfall of AAA games versus indie games. Now, traditionally, AAA games used to have a lot of presence and used to dominate the market, but these days, a lot of like indie games made just by a few person made the most popular games and sold the most copies. And yeah, so we'll have a look at this video.
In the last few weeks, 6 indie games have been released, all made by teams of 5 people or less, and combined they've sold over 8 million copies. While studios with hundreds of developers, hundreds of millions in the bank are shutting down, these absolute lunatics are winning, and it's not even close. 2025 has proved something. When you make something genuinely new, genuinely weird, genuinely passionate, we notice. 6 games.
I think the other problem is that the video doesn't really talk about is that AAA has a big team, right? And the more people makes the game, the more input they get, and people have different ideas, and therefore that can pull the game in various directions. And the other problem is sort of the political correctness problem. A lot of the big companies, they're very left wing, I guess. It's not necessarily the wrong thing, but they put too much emphasis on like gender, or they need to put a gay character, or they need to put some sort of like do something without historical research and things like that. All of those, they're not necessarily bad, but what's bad is that they do it in a wrong way. They make that the main focus. They make the gender scene the main focus. Or they change the color of the skin of the character, even though it doesn't relate to the history of that character, like a misrepresentation. And so, therefore, it's not necessarily the act itself that they make it, you know, gender or make the character female or something like that's a problem. The main problem is that that is the main focus. What should be the main focus is like the gameplay, the mechanics, and also the story, if there is a story. I think that is what the main focus should be. And this is why a lot of AAA games are not resonating with the common gamers, the common people, because it's too agenda based, it's not mechanic based, it's not about, and also there's too much microtransactions as well. Because AAA game has lots of like microtransactions, whereas indie games, what they do is they make a game and that's it. And back in the day, this used to be the case a long time ago. You buy something off the shelf, that's it. You don't have to pay anything else. Nowadays, everything's about subscriptions, about like, microtransaction with a lot of the AAA games. I think that's also the other appeal about why indie games is becoming more successful. And nowadays, because indie games are a bit more easier to make because there's platform like Steam and things that sort of open source sort of like help you distribute the game so you don't have to spend millions in marketing. Whereas before it's sort of more gated, right?
Games, all completely unique, all from tiny teams willing to try something no one else would. And they're being rewarded for it because innovation beats budget, risk beats formula, fun beats focus groups. Gaming isn't broken, it's just happening somewhere else right now. And this year, it's undeniable. Indie games are winning, so let's break down these 6 games and why they matter. Let's start with the most ridiculous one, RV There Yet. It's a co op game where up to 4 players try to drive a falling apart RV out of a deadly valley. Kind of like Overcooked meets off roading. You're steering, repairing, winching the vehicle up cliffs while everything explodes around you. It's physics based chaos. 5 people made this, veterans from Coffee Stain, the Goat Simulator studio, but still 5 people, and they built the game in 3 months. Started as a game jam prototype, they liked it, fleshed it out, shipped it, 3 months from concept to release. It cost just £6, sold 1.3 million copies, hit 100,000 concurrent players on Steam.
You know what? This is really fun. It's because it's scuffed, and scuff is part of the gameplay. Sometimes a good game doesn't have to be perfect in mechanics, but it needs to be fun, and the scuff is part of the fun. So I pick is like a similar game. I think the reason why it's fun is because you can mess up with your friend, and it's a collaborative game, and stuff. It's just part of the fun.
In its first weekend, and for context, that's more than most AAA games see at
And look
launch.
at that price, right? It's very cheap compared to a lot of the AAA games. And also, not only that, that means it's more accessible. More people can play the game because it's cheaper. And not only that, is that it's a one and done. To be honest, I don't have a problem if the game is really good. I don't have a problem paying a larger price upfront. But the problem, it has to be one and done, because these days there's a lot of microtransaction with a lot of the games, and that kind of ruins it.
And here's why it worked. They embraced the jank, the RV's wonky controls, the physics glitches that send you
Yeah, exactly
flying.
what I was
It's not a
talking about.
bug, it's a feature. They knew it, shipped it anyway because the chaos was the point. Speed, madness, fun over perfection, and it paid off. These guys are laughing all the way to the bank right now. Then there's Clover Pit. Now, warning, because this one is addictive. Don't say I didn't tell you. It's a roguelike where you're trapped in a cell with a demonic slot machine. You spin to earn coins to pay off your debt.
This reminds me of like the 90s, 2000s older game where they have those sort of graphics, arcade sort of graphics.
Each
I'm
round,
glad it's kind of making it come back.
or you literally fall into a pit. It's part luck, part strategy. You're manipulating reels, triggering combos, using charms to bend the odds, trying to snowball into a lucky run before you go bankrupt. Two people made this game, two Italian dudes from Panic Arcade. That's it. It cost just £8.50, sold 100,000 copies in the first 24 hours, hit 500,000 sales in just 8 days, currently sitting at over 750,000 copies sold with a 90% positive rating on Steam. It just takes slot machine mechanics and turns them into pure gameplay dopamine. No microtransactions, no real money, just the addiction of watching combos pop off and your numbers go up. They made gambling fun instead of predatory, and we noticed. And a personal favourite of mine, Ball X Pit.
I don't know about that, but I think it's kind of fun if you gamble in moderation. But I am actually really against gambling, like even in games or like CS skins, things like that. I think it's not very healthy because it like builds up your dopamine and you get addicted and things like that. So that's why I don't ever gamble, right? I think I've only ever gambled once in real life, and that's because I want to know what gambling is like because I've never done it before. And I was playing in like 21, and I first I began to lose, and then I won, and then I walked away with, as soon as I was up. I think I was up like $1,000. As soon as I was up, I just walked away. Yeah. So and yeah, and I've never gambled since. So I've only ever gambled once. Yeah. So I think it's fun if it's you only do it once and you can control yourself and know when to stop. But generally speaking, I'm very against gambling, and this is part of my principle, right? So um yeah, and then gambling, like the house always wins, right? And that's why they can pay a lot of ads. They can like a few years ago there was a lot of streamers taking up those gambling sponsors, and apparently they paid millions. And the reason why they can afford this is because the gambling company makes money, right? And I think some of the streamers they played with sort of the in-house currency, meaning that they're not their real money, but the gambling company's money. Some of them, right? So what you see on stream is not realistic. So right, anyway, so this is the whole problem about gambling, and I think in games, it's fine in moderation. I think it's fine, but I'm still, I think 50-50 on it, because like, for example, like CS skins, people would actually buy it. It's monetary value. It's like kind of like meme coins, kind of like thing. So that's why I'm a little bit skeptical about that, and just trying to warn people not to get addicted. Of course, if you know what you're doing, you can control yourself. You don't spend your life saving away in moderation for fun. Yeah, sure, do it. No problem. No judgment here. But I'm just warning about sort of this sort of addiction kind of thing. But for this kind of puzzle game, it is okay. But again, it's not my thing.
This one's
But what I do like is the puzzle mechanics. You know, like I think before it says like plus whatever crit if you select this. That kind of aspect to it, I really like this bit. Where is it? Um, yeah, I saw somewhere. Yeah, they can like plus stats or something, right? Which I really like.
It's part luck, part strategy. You're manipulating reels, triggering combos, using charms to bend the odds, trying to snowball into a lucky run before you go bankrupt. Two
Yeah, like you can choose if it's plus 4.5% multipliers, things like that.
people
I
made this
do really
game.
like,
Two Italian
and various resources and decision making. That part I do like.
dudes from Panic Arcade. That's it. It cost just £8.50, sold 100,000 copies in the first 24 hours, 50,000 copies sold with a 90% positive rating on Steam. It just takes slot machine mechanics and turns them into pure gameplay dopamine. No microtransactions, no real money, just the addiction of watching combos pop off and your numbers go up. They've
Although what
made
I will say that this is like different to like CS skins and things like that. It's like it's you don't lose money. You don't lose like IRL money, like real money, right? So in a way, it does make it better.
gambling fun instead of predatory, and we noticed. And a personal favourite of mine, Ball X Pit. This one's properly mental. It's a roguelike that mashes together Breakout, Vampire Survivors, city building, and probably even more inspirations I've missed. You're batting magic balls up into hordes of enemies like a brick breaker. The balls ricochet and destroy things. You collect loot and power-ups, and then by the end of the run, the screen's filled with a ton of bouncing balls, obliterating everything. Between runs, you then switch into building a little city that unlocks permanent upgrades. It's multiple genres, one game, outrageously addictive, easy to pick up, satisfying to master, unique, addictive fun. And it was made by only one person, Kenny
Yeah, this reminds me of like those aircraft you see, those aircraft game when you shoot the beams and destroy obstacles.
Sun, a solo developer, cost $12.99, sold 400,000 copies in its first week, hit overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam almost immediately. Here's why it works. Kenny threw multiple genres together with zero compromises. Stupid chaos that somehow just makes sense. Most studios would have workshopped this to death. Is it a roguelike? Is it a city builder? Pick one. He didn't. He just made all of it. And the result is something you genuinely can't find anywhere else. Unique
Hmm.
in the truest sense. Highly
That's
recommend.
true. That's
Escape
true.
from
Like you can do your own niche in the game rather than sort of workshopping it. Oh, it has to be this. It has to be this. Like a defined thing. Yeah, I do agree with that. I think you can have a unique blend, or sometimes each game innovates on the other, right? So yeah.
Duckov, Ducks with Guns. It's a top-down extraction shooter that just parodies Escape from Tarkov, a notoriously hardcore extraction shooter. You're literally a duck with a gun, scavenging loot, fighting hostile ducks and geese, trying to extract a live with your loot before time runs out. 5 people made this game. Team Soda, a small internal studio at Bilibili, the Chinese publisher, gave them the marketing muscle, but the actual dev team is tiny. It's a case of indie spirit with mid-tier backing. It cost just $16.99, sold 1 million copies in
I
its
guess
first week.
this one's different in that they have like a mid-tier sort of financial backing. But yeah, I'm glad that there was like a small team and it still made it, which is really cool. This kind of reminds me a little bit of like Fortnite, PUBG kind of thing.
Currently sitting at 3 million copies sold with 94% overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. It hit
Those like browser flash game back in the day had something similar as well. I just don't remember the name. It's been so long.
300,000 peak concurrent players. And I'll be honest, this isn't really my kind of game, but here's what they did. They took Tarkov's hardcore extraction loop, tension, the depth, the loot systems, and made it PvE, solo friendly, kept everything that makes the genre interesting, removed the toxic PvP grief. Everyone assumed it would just be a meme. It looks like a meme.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Like there has been games like similar concept to this before. This is nothing really new. I've seen games like this before.
like a meme, ducks with AKs, funny screenshots, move on. But it turns out it's a legitimately deep, polished shooter RPG that respects your time, and the players rewarded that massively. Slots and Daggers is a new fantasy roguelike where your dungeon battles play out on a slot machine. You're venturing through floors, fighting goblins and ogres, but instead of choosing attacks from a menu, you pull a slot lever. The symbols that line up dictate what happens. Swords mean you attack, potions heal you, shields block, critical hits, stuff like that. But there's strategy. You can hold certain reels, equip charms that bias outcomes, essentially deck build your slot machine before each run. It's inspired by D&D clearly, but filtered through casino mechanics. One person made this, a solo German developer, 6 months of development. It costs £4 right now, only been out for 4 days, already sold
Yeah,
50,000
sometimes like a
copies
even
with
like a different interface, like a different way of presenting a similar concept, that could also blow up a game.
94% positive reviews
Although
on
to be
Steam.
honest,
He just
I've
made
not seen
one
the
weird thing really
some of
well,
these games.
intentionally crude art style, proper hand drawn, small scope but polished. No chasing scale or endless content, just a tight replayable loop that does something genuinely new. I've got a feeling this one could blow up pretty soon, another one I highly recommend checking out. And Megabonk, we covered this one already, a solo developer, Vampire Survivors in 3D, sold 1 million copies in 2 weeks, currently estimated around 3 million copies sold. It's the same pattern, tiny team, weird idea, massive success. So what do all of these have in common? Innovation, risk, fun first, sales second, a clear vision from people who clearly love games. While 20
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like the indie game devs, that they're actually really passionate about the games, but whilst sometimes in the AAA teams, some of them are passionate, but some of them they're more about the idea of what agenda they want to push, what sort of message they want to get out of the game. So I definitely see, you can see why the indie games are a little bit different. But I do have to say though, okay,
26% of
maybe I'll
European games
talk about it at the end of the video. There are some exceptions, like some AAA games are still good.
professionals were laid off in the past year, with over 10% of them still looking for work and 13% of them leaving the industry entirely. These tiny teams were just building something genuinely new. The craziest part of all of this, you can buy all 6 of these games for less than one AAA release at 60 quid. 6 completely unique experiences, hundreds of hours of gameplay, all innovative, all made by people who took genuine risk because they love video games. And most of these games had more daily players than Bloodlines 2, a £60 game, a game that peaked at 27,000 concurrent players on Steam, for a fraction of the price and a fraction of the development time. The pattern's clear, small teams moving fast, building what they actually want to play, no committees diluting the vision, no focus groups removing the weird bits, just here's an idea, let's make it, ship it, see what happens. And it's working, properly working. 2025 has truly proved something. Innovation beats budget, passion beats polish, fun beats everything. Gaming isn't broken, it's just happening somewhere else right now. In basements, spare bedrooms, small studios who still remember why they got into this industry in the first place. That's where all the innovation is happening right now, and if you can't see it by now, then you need to get your eyes checked. As always, thanks so much for watching, appreciate you. If you enjoyed the video,
Yeah, so definitely indie games are making a big wave right now, and honestly, it's a good thing because nowadays that means if you have a good concept, you can develop a good game, and that means potentially there could be more indie games, and they are more easily made and more accessible for everyone. It's honestly a big W in the scenes, right? Yes, and yeah, AAA games recently has not been good, especially those made in the West, because of agendas, all the other things I'm talking about, multiple teams, not aligning with the vision. However, I do have to say there is still a couple of AAA games that may be good. So you guys remember GTA, right? They're making GTA 6. Now we don't know when that's gonna come out. It's a meme at this point, but maybe it will. Hopefully, this clip will age well. But I think that GTA 6 may actually be made well, and that is a AAA game, right? So it's a big company that produces it, like Rockstar. So I think there is still some games that are really good, or like Wukong, although I think that might not be made in the West, but Wukong is a AAA game, right? So there is still examples where AAA games or the big companies can still make good games. It's just that can they do it without political message first and gaming mechanics first? Can they do it with a good vision and good leadership at the top and devs at the bottom? That's the key question. And honestly, it's kind of sad because I would like to see some AAA games with really good cutting edge technology, but used in the right way, not being misredirected to have some like gender agenda. So yeah, well there you go. Um, yeah, so I think we'll cover some like games and anime stuff as well. As all the other stuff in this channel, we cover like politics, we cover drama, we cover tech. Yeah, if you like what you're seeing, please consider give it a like or subscribe. Yeah, and I'll see you next time.